Hi everyone, this is Sasha. I am talking to you about the Ninebot Segway today, the latest addition to their lineup, which is the E3 Pro. The Pro stands for just a slightly bigger battery. It cost me 50 euros more, so I said, why not? It got just released in Europe together with the G3 and the F3 series, and I want to share my experience with you. I had some fun with it, and this will help you decide whether it could be your next scooter. So let's start with a close-up and some specifications. So here you see the scooter from the side, a close-up. I'm not a super fan of the gray color. I think black would have looked very modern too. And I'll show you some of the specifications right here. Now for a walk around of the scooter, I will start with the top. It has a 3-inch LED display. It's a really nice effect when it starts up. Nice and big numbers. Good battery indicator with many blocks. Instead of just 4 blocks, it's around 8. So it's more accurate on the remaining battery percentage. We have the blinkers, very easy to access with your left thumb, and one brake lever. It has a front light, very bright, 3 times more bright than the E2 series, and the magnesium stem. It has the 10-inch tires. They're very sticky actually. I don't know if it's because it's a new tire, but they are very solid on the ground. We have the brakes in the front. The deck is pretty large. And the rear elastomer suspension is basically a rubber. And the rear of the deck slightly comes up. It's a very solid mudguard. You can use it as a foot stand. And the kickstand, which makes a lot of noise when you use it. But it's a rubberized deck, very, very grippy, very happy about it. And right here you can open up the folding mechanism. You don't usually do this by hand, but by foot. You tap it up and you click it open, but I will show you later. This clip is used for the folding, to attach it to the mudguard, and there's a little hook where you can hang bags or plastic bags, groceries. There's 3 modes: Eco, Drive and Sports. Sports is 25 kilometers per hour, and like I said, a very smooth throttle. Here's an example of folding and unfolding the scooter. I didn't find the folding very easy. It's not super practical because you really have to play around a little bit with your foot to click it in. It's pretty lightweight, 17 kilos, easy to lift. Now, when it comes to the deck, it's not a big deck, but it makes it a little hard to find an easy spot to rest your foot. It's 1 meter 82 large, and I found it difficult to put my foot to the back. Also, when it's parked, it's very at an angle. Now, if it's standing like this, there's no issue, but if it's parked in a bicycle rack, it does tend to take up a lot of space from your neighbors, as we call it. In the front, there should be a possibility to put a lock, but the opening is very small, so you need a small lock. I made a slow motion video of the suspension. There's a lot of action in the rear suspension, but the front not as much. And here are some pictures of the scooter. I did a little bit of maneuvering, playing around with it. It's a very agile scooter. That's probably because of the short base. And even though you don't have a proper footrest, it's still a good wheelie doer. I took some hill climbing. I started at 0 speed, still brought me out to 20 kilometers per hour, which is pretty good. And here I started at 25 kilometers per hour to go up the mountain, and it kept a steady speed of 22 kilometers per hour all the way up. Pretty happy about that because, as you can see, it's a pretty steep slope. Here we go. So I damaged it. Happens, right? No worries. I mean, it's gonna have to get damaged sometime anyway. On to the next. Took some bunny hops, some ramps. It's a fun scooter to play around with. It's easy to maneuver. 17 kilos allows you to do a little bit of hopping, getting it moving. You know, when you have a ramp, you can just push it up with your feet. What I noticed about the scooter is that it's very stable. I felt like I could drive it easily with one hand, and even just with only my thumb on the throttle and both hands loose. Pretty crazy. A little bit of off-roading on the grind. Pretty happy about the stability on the gravel path. Now, to fit it in your trunk, it's pretty large. It's quite long, so it wasn't easy. And I did have to put one of the seats down to get it into a Tesla Model 3 trunk, even though it has 490 liters of trunk space. 590. Here's a comparison with the Xiaomi. Xiaomi has a larger deck, but smaller steerer. Here's an impression of the application. It's quite modern, pretty sleek. There's a lot of modifications possible. Yeah. I think this is one of the best looking apps I've ever seen compared to Xiaomi, for example. Me personally, I don't really use apps unless I want to change the regenerative braking or see the odometer, but further I don't really use it. Could come in handy for locking. And I wanted to finish by showing you the charging port. It's a rubber clip. It's located on the side, which is already a lot better than the underneath of the scooter, which some brands do. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will be finishing this video with the positives and negatives. Screen brightness is excellent. It has a high contrast. I can always see the numbers very well. Even there's a lot of sunlight on the screen. The stability of the scooter is just amazing. I could, with confidence, just release one of my hands. Not that I recommend it. I could even just keep my thumb on the throttle and release both hands for a few seconds. I felt secure. It was almost as if the scooter wouldn't want to take a turn or a corner. The tires are very sticky. Maybe that's just because they are brand new. The price of this scooter in Europe is 400 euros for the Pro version. The Pro version gives you a bigger battery, about 25 to 30% bigger battery compared to the the E3 regular, which costs 350 euros in Europe. Now, we are in the sales period, so it's a 50 euro reduction for both models. Normally, they are 50 euros more expensive than the price I just mentioned. The range is really good. I was able to get 23 kilometers out of it on sports, and I had 20% of battery remaining, which means I have about 29 to 30 kilometers of range. Now, I am 75 kilograms in weight and I'm 183. I did have some wind and I turned off the regenerative braking. So 30 kilometers is quite impressive in this price range. The deck grip is very grippy. I think when it gets wet, it should still be grippy too because of the lines on it. The bell is very loud. I'm not used to this on scooters. Every time I had a scooter, the bell was just too soft, and I installed another bell, but this one is loud enough by default. I noticed I had a lot of less knee fatigue and foot fatigue compared to my Xiaomi Scooter 4 Lite Generation 2, but the Xiaomi has no suspension. Now, I wouldn't say the suspension on the E3 is great. I've driven a VZ9 with double suspension with springs. It was the best suspension I've ever had, so I shouldn't compare. The main goal on my scooter is to take out vibrations and take some of the impact so my back and my knees don't have to. And I would say it's a success for the Ninebot E3. I had a lot less fatigue or no fatigue riding those 22 kilometers, compared to doing that same route with the Xiaomi with no suspension. So that's good. The acceleration is definitely good at this price range. I'm always off the line as the first compared to other cyclists, compared to other scooters. So that's good, because if you're first off the line in front of a green light or at the crossroads, it means you don't have to watch out in the group where you're going because you're ahead anyway. So I really like that. The app is very sleek, easy to use, and the throttle on the handlebars, it's very smooth. There's no fumbling around, it's just very, very smooth, like it has oil inside or something. The handlebars are more wide than most scooters, which gives you a little bit more control. And it has blinkers. I'm not sure if I will be using them often, but it's a good scooter overall. I would give it, in the price range, an 8.5 out of 10. Who is this scooter for? If you're living in an area where you have mainly flats, no off-roads, but some hills, some climbs and some descents, and you want some good acceleration, you don't want to spend too much, not like 600 or 700 euros, which I was intending for the F3 Pro. But I said to myself, I could buy a 600 euro scooter, but it will have no cruise control because it's in Europe, and it will be limited to 25 kilometers per hour. So what do I want? What's the minimum that I want? I wanted vibration damping, and I wanted good acceleration, and I wanted to be able to take some hills if necessary. And so I think the only thing I am missing out on is a slightly larger deck. But I am, however, larger than most people, 1.82 m. Should I buy the F3 with a bigger deck? I don't think so. I think this E3 Pro with a slightly bigger battery is a great value for the money at 400 euros. It has a great service, a great community, and I will still consider unlocking it for 32 kilometers per hour as the speed that it has in the US. So if you have any questions, shout out in the comment section. Oh, and don't forget to like this video. Enjoy your ride. Bye-bye.